Hello and welcome to my video explanation of the Layer 2 Addressing and Resolution Lab. In this lab, we're going to look at the ARP table of the router, and the ARP table is going to show us the IP address to MAC address mapping. And then we'll look at the MAC address table that the switch holds, and this table is going to map MAC addresses to physical interfaces. So let's get started. Now the first thing we need to do is step one, we're going to turn on the interface of R1. And the reason it's turned off is because we don't want any traffic to actually populate some of these tables before we examine them. So I'll go into R1 and I can go into the command line of R1 and I can type enable terminal, and then I can go into interface gig 000 and I will type no shutdown to turn that interface on. So now that I've got that interface turned on, let's see what R1 knows about MAC addresses to IP addresses. Exit. And I can do the command show IP ARP. And I only have one entry in here. R1 does not know about any other devices on this network. It has no mappings. So one way I can learn about these other addresses is I can ping them, but I don't really know what IP addresses they are. So I'll go ahead and just ping the broadcast address. And look here, I'm getting replies from 3 different IP addresses. So once this completes, we'll take another look at our ARP table. Now I've got an ARP table that is fully populated. I know I have 3 IP addresses, 1.109, 1.123, 1.141. Of course, this is my own address. I know that one. And then I've also got the MAC addresses associated with them. So now the next step we're going to do is let's take a look at our switch's MAC address table. Okay, so the switch has mappings that tells us which MAC address is being received from which port. Remember, the switch receives frames, and it's going to take the source MAC address of an incoming frame and store that in this table right here. So now the last step we have is we have to fill out this little table right here. This is really not that difficult. So I'm going to go ahead and bring open my table. So I have 2 tables I can look at. I have my MAC address table and I have my ARP table. So I'm going to start with my ARP table, and I'm just going to take my 4 MAC addresses and I'll put them right here. And there's the second one, 2 more. And then my last MAC address right here. And there's my 4th MAC address. That's okay. So now let me go to my IP addresses. Now I'm going to take my first address and put that next to the MAC address ending in ACED. My second address is going to align to the MAC address of 81BA. My third MAC address is going to align to C102. And my 4th MAC address is going to align to 3345. So I've got my ARP entries in here. I have the IP to MAC address mappings as known by the router. Now I need to complete this for the MAC address to port mappings, and that's on the switch. So now I can come in here and look, and ACED is on port gig 01, so I'll copy that and put that right here. 81BA is on 011. And then 3C102 is on 06. And the last one, 3345, is connected to 014. So now we've completed our table. Almost. So anyway, now we have recorded both the IP addresses, the MAC addresses, and the switch ports. And this can be very useful for troubleshooting because sometimes you can run into an issue where you've got a device that's causing problems, or maybe it's doing something malicious, and you need to find the physical location of that device. And what you can do, but you only have its IP address. So what you can do is you can look at the router to find the MAC address. That's the ARP table right here. And then I can come and look at the switch at the MAC address table and find the actual physical port that that device is connected to. Then I can send a technician out there and have him find out what cable is plugged into that port and go find the PC at the other end of that cable. And if I look at this from a traffic flow perspective, we can see that router 1 knows if it wants to send a packet to 192.168.1.123, it needs to put it into an Ethernet frame with this MAC address ending in C102. When the switch receives the MAC address with the destination address ending in C102, it's going to forward that frame out port fast Ethernet 06. So anyway, I hope this video has been helpful for you, and thanks for watching.